Authenticity is the key. No matter what platform you're on, no matter what format you choose to do, it is the key. It's your only uniqueness. And so you've developed a powerful brand based on your uniqueness online.
Whenever an industry is struggling and agents are struggling, I believe consistent content could easily help you through the hard times. I think it's so important you're creating content because people buy and sell real estate every single day, regardless of the market.
Welcome back to another episode of the Wealthy Creator Podcast. I'm your host, Justin Berry, and today I have a powerhouse real estate. I won't even want to call you a guru, man. You're just, he's really doing his thing, but not only in real estate, but also in content. So we're in for a really good one. Levi Lascsak. If you don't know Levi, you're in for a masterclass in lead generation and sales and scaling your business. Levi is a co-founder of Passive Prospecting and the brains behind the most successful real estate YouTube channel, living in Dallas, Texas. In just a few years, his content-first approach has helped him generate over $150 million in real estate transactions without spending a dime on ads. He and his team rank among the top 1% of real estate agents in Dallas, all thanks to organic YouTube marketing. But here's the thing. What Levi teaches isn't just for real estate agents. The principles he's mastered apply to all businesses looking to attract leads, build authority, and scale through content. And if you've been following Wealthy Creator for a while, you know that Levi is one of the OGs, one of the originals in the program, who took the strategies and ran with them to build an industry-dominating brand. So, if you're looking to learn more and dominating your niche without cold calling, chasing clients, or burning cash on ads, this episode is for you. Let's dive in. Welcome back, bro.
All right, thanks, Justin. Appreciate it, man.
Absolutely, man.
That was a good intro. I like that.
Yeah, man. I'm trying something new here and want to make sure that people understand who's before them. I think what's always important for me, one, especially when it's someone that I know, and someone that I kind of talk to and communicate with and understand what they've been able to do in the last couple of years. I want people to understand, like, it's possible, right? Like, it's not something that's so unique to an individual that it can't happen for others out there that are trying to figure it out. So, Levi, tell me, man, that was 2023 that you were on the podcast. And if you haven't seen that episode, you should go back and check it out. Really good episode we did back then when you were just really getting the understanding of how to structure things. You were going through the business coaching with Gary. You were, always masterminding. You and Ryan. I'm shoulder to shoulder with Ryan, so I can hear some of those phone calls that you all are having. But you were just dialing things in.
Yeah.
Tell me, man, how's it been since the last time you've been on and all the things that you've experienced? How's business?
Yeah, crushing it. So that's first and foremost. But that was the one part on the intro. It's not 150 million. It's close to 300 million.
There we go. See,
in real estate sales because of organic YouTube. No ad spend, no cold calling, no door knocking. And we still run that strategy today. And even for last year, 2023 and 2024 have been two of the toughest years in real estate in the last 30 years. And 2024 had the lowest transaction count since 1995.
Wow.
So even worse than 2008, 2009. So the business has just been absent. The transactions have just been absent in the market. And we still generated over $1 million in GCI last year from the YouTube channel. And a lot of people that I talk to that have come through our program now, which is just, the passive prospecting for real estate agents, they had massive years in 2024. So whenever an industry is struggling and agents are struggling, then, I believe content, at least consistent content, could easily help you through the hard times. And so that's just one reason now. And I would say that's a recent example of why I think it's so important that you're creating content. And because people buy and sell real estate every single day, regardless of the market, regardless of the interest rates, regardless of what Uncle Bob is negative or says he's waiting until 2030, right? Or you can't find a good deal.
Yeah.
People are still buying and selling real estate every single day. It's just a matter of whether they find you, or they want to work with you. And if you're providing value through content, then the business is there.
Yeah.
And so, that helped us out, especially in 2023. Interest rates were over 7.5%, even up to 8% the entire year. And we did well over $1 million in GCI that year as well from real estate, from YouTube alone. And so again, that helped us through these last couple of years where a lot of agents went out of business or went back to a job or whatever the case may be. So I think that is one of the most important things because it can create a consistent strategy for you in your business, especially when it comes to marketing. And the great thing is again, we didn't spend any money to promote those videos. That was organic.
Yeah. Yeah, I always find it interesting when discussing, the content creation, and people's process, especially when it comes to like agents, because most of them never start with YouTube.
Right.
They always go to a short form,
Yep.
Instagram or a TikTok, and I always advise against it because there's a million of you doing it. Right?
Yep.
Like I've seen the same houses, the same tours, the same thing over and over again, and even if you go down their profiles, it all looks exactly the same.
Yep.
What was it about YouTube that made you go, this is it, this is where I go all in?
Well, that was back in 2020,
Yeah.
and people were telling me, hey, Instagram, TikTok was a big deal in 2020.
For sure.
And they didn't fit my personality. So that was the one thing is I think what I really saw is I saw a lot of seasoned real estate agents who'd been in the business for 5, 10, 15 years that they seemed like they were doing well because they were able to educate in 60 seconds. Or they could say, hey, I could have easily made videos like here's 7 tips to sell your home fast, in 60 seconds. Or I could have made pointy videos or dancing videos, or I could have explained the difference between an FHA loan or a conventional loan. But also, that didn't really seem authentic to me because I hadn't even sold a home yet. I haven't even helped somebody through that transaction. But also, it just didn't feel right to me for some reason. And nothing against those platforms, and I know people turn over business from there. But I was just like, man, I don't know. It doesn't feel right for me. Yeah. And then I read one line in a book. There's a couple of things, really. I read, there's a book called YouTube Secrets, and Benji Travis, Sean Cannell wrote that book. But Benji had one paragraph in that whole book, and it's buried deep in there. Like you could read right over it and miss it, but he said he started a YouTube channel in 2009 as a real estate agent when he was an agent back then, and he was selling 10 homes a year, and that channel got him to 100 homes a year. So something about that made me go, wait, he sold 100 homes from YouTube. I was like, that sounds pretty cool. Yeah. And then I read one other line that said, YouTube is a search engine, not a social media platform. And I think that was my other hesitation was I had zero presence on social media, except for friends and family. Like I had the accounts, but I had like your, 50, 100, friends and family basically on those accounts.
There was no one buying a house from those accounts.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. And it was literally just friends and family on there. So I never tried to monetize those platforms, and I was really kind of anti-social media.
Okay.
Look, I graduated high school in '98. And we didn't have it, didn't grow up with it, not even cell phones. So I think, and I was in sales for most of my career, and I valued, or I guess I overappreciated the belly-to-belly sell, the in-person. I was like, I'm that person, right? I do everything, I was proud of, I do everything one-on-one. I do everything in person, right? I talk to people, I'm relationship, and so social media, I don't know, I kind of poo-pooed it, as well. Right. So I had this mindset of kind of anti-social media. And nobody was talking about YouTube then. But whenever I saw, YouTube's a search engine more than a social media platform, that resonated with me. And I thought, okay, well, search engine, maybe people are searching for information. And I didn't know how to be a good agent, so I didn't want to make videos about how to sell your home fast because I felt that was inauthentic because I hadn't done it before. Yeah. But I've lived in Dallas for 20 plus years, and I know Dallas. I'm a Dallas resident, and I thought, man, what if I just show people what it's like to live in Dallas? What if I become like their tour guide online? I talk about neighborhoods, which I know the neighborhoods, I know the areas. Maybe not all the real estate stats. Actually, I didn't know any of the real estate stats. I couldn't tell you the median home price or anything like that. Yeah. But I'm just like, hey, this is the cool spot down here. There's neighborhoods over here. This is a nice community. Right. And I just started kind of walking people through that. And then I would say, reach out if you want to make a smooth move to Dallas. I didn't even say I was a real estate agent. I'd be like, hey, my name's Levi, and if you need some help moving to Dallas, reach out below. Happy to help you make a smooth move to Dallas. And the phone started ringing.
Dude, one thing I want to point out, though, is that you talk about, you've said over and over again, it didn't feel authentic.
Yeah.
And so I think that's an important piece for people to understand when it's trying to decide how do I present myself online?
Yeah.
Right. There's so many people that struggle with that part of it. One, some of them don't know themselves just yet.
Yeah.
They don't actually know the direction in which their business, like they actually want it to go. So they struggle with kind of planning for the route, right? Whereas you are like, no, this doesn't feel like me. I'm gonna do what feels like me. Did that change the way you felt about the creation process and going about even like filming the videos or scripting at all?
Well, I mean, I think the funny, people talk about the fear of the camera, right? And that's the hesitation. I think it's funny because especially with real estate agents, most of the time you can't get them to shut up, right? In person.
Until you turn the camera on.
Yeah, you turn the camera on and then they're like, deer in headlights. And so for me, I never had a fear of the camera. But I also, what was strange to me was having a conversation with the camera, because you'll find yourself in a room by yourself, usually filming, right? And then I'm sitting there and I was so used to interactive sales, somebody sitting in front of me, just like now you're nodding, I can make eye contact, I can read body language. I'd read all the books, right? So I knew, they're folding their arms, they're unfolding their arms, they're, so you're always looking for these cues. You might interrupt me with a question and then you come with an objection and I can overcome that. And, so I knew all the sales tips and tricks, but then you sit down in front of a camera and it's just like, okay, so I approached it from the point of, okay, I need to, this is just a sales presentation, but it's a one-sided sales presentation, and I've just got to pretend like that camera is a person. And so I've got to kind of laugh at my own jokes a little bit, so that's what, actually the cool thing is that, have you ever wished your spouse would just let you make your point or listen to you?
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe vice versa.
She always listens to me. What are you talking about?
Yeah, if she's listening to this podcast, of course. So think about that. I'm like, actually, this is, if you're having struggles, now think about this. This is your opportunity to make your case without getting interrupted. So just make your case on video about the neighborhood, the suburb, the property, whoever you're trying to reach and the problem you're trying to solve. This is an opportunity for you to basically give a sales presentation where you have zero interruptions and you can make your point. And you just got to kind of work through that. And that gets better over time. Just like anything that you do again and again and again, repetition, you get better at.
Yeah.
No,
absolutely. It's funny because I got an ebook that's coming that is, I'm fiddling with the title, but it's essentially about the psychology of dating the camera.
Oh, really? Oh, nice.
And I'm just
funny.
I'm exploring because how many times have you been out and outside of yourself, you're watching people with that phone or with that camera, either vlogging or creating. We went to Universal Studios during my son's spring break. And it was just an unbelievable amount of people there that was creating content at Universal Studios. I go, there's no way you all are even enjoying this day. You almost have to do a 2-day where you film one day and then come back to enjoy the park. But I was like, a lot of those people were by themselves.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, wow, like they're on a date. Like the camera goes from on the ride with them to, in line with them to sitting down and eating with them.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is essentially a date with the camera. And so it kind of sparked the idea because it's the younger generations is a little easier to get used to that. You know, they were born with it in their hand. But for those that are like running businesses right now, it's likely that they weren't necessarily born. They were in the between stage of not having it and having it. So I'm writing something to create them, and I'm gonna give it away for free, but to create a better understanding of what that means to date that camera. So I'm gonna have some fun with it, but it's also like, it's so true. Like, how comfortable can you get with just you and the lens? And I don't care what anybody says. It's awkward anytime you're doing it, man. I've tried those. That's how I ended up podcasting. Yeah. Because I was like, I don't like talking directly into the camera. Like, I hated it so much when I had to do it, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna just start podcasting where I can have these conversations. But to a business owner and anybody that's building a personal brand, you're going to have to do that at some point. You're gonna need it. I totally relate. But authenticity is the key. No matter what platform you're on, no matter what format you choose to do, it is the key. It's your only uniqueness. And so you've developed a powerful brand based on your uniqueness online. But I want to get into the formats. Okay. Because I find that really interesting because I've worked with, now hundreds of agents, either consulting or actually working with them, as a client of mine. And the formats matter when it comes to real estate and how well you can perform within that format. And by formats, if those are listening or watching don't know, I'm referring to whether or not you're doing vlogs, home tours, sit down, talking head style videos, dynamic videos out in the field. All these different formats of content that that people create is what I'm referring to when I say formats. So Levi, you've dialed in the Living in Dallas home tour experience. Down to, like, when I watch the videos, and we've discussed this in our calls and stuff before, I feel like there's nowhere in Dallas that I haven't experienced if I go through your channel. And not only am I seeing the home, but I'm also seeing the neighborhood. I'm seeing the park. I'm seeing the shopping centers. I'm seeing all these different aspects. What about that format attracted you to be like, all right, I'm going to focus and lock in on doing these and making the experience for our viewer top notch versus doing a mix of all these other types of formats?
Well, I think the readily available inventory of new construction communities and model homes, at least in Dallas. If you live in New Jersey, as far as I know, like, these communities are not popping up all over the place, right?
Yeah.
Now, Dallas, we're not landlocked, we're not waterlocked. The Metroplex is going to continue to grow. It'll be the #1 city. It'll outgrow LA and New York, and they're even estimating that by 2030 to 2035.
Wow.
Because we can just keep growing out. And so, they're building all these communities with crazy amenities. Like, some of them have 20 acres worth of amenities. Like, they're putting in almost full-blown water parks, adult water slides, bowling alleys, surf riders, lazy rivers. I mean, so they're getting pretty crazy on their amenities. Lagoons that look like beaches in the Caribbean, and there's one in my community, and they're popping up. It seems like every day. Like, we have a trouble keeping up with them, and so just to feature that community, it's its own video. Plus, they'll have 2, 3. Some of these communities have 4, 5, or 6 model homes in them that are completely decked out, decorated to the nine, and they're beautiful. And they range from the 300,000 to 900,000, some 1.3. And no builder has ever told me, no, I can't film there. So I think for me, it's a path of least resistance. And that's what I encourage with other agents, because I want you to follow the path of least resistance. Don't do what I'm doing just because I'm doing it. I've seen channels where they only sit in an office and make office videos, and they get business.
Yeah.
They never go out. They go out, but they never film outside. That makes somebody really nervous. Like you said, they're oh my God, there's somebody's walking over there. They're going to see me filming, so then they freak out. But they'll sit down in the office and make an informational office video. And I've seen those channels work. I've seen people who only want to be out in the community, and those channels work. I've seen people that do a hybrid of both. Those channels work. I've seen people who talk about only the news. Those channels work. I've seen people that talk about the negative side of real estate, right? It's going to crash. Now, I don't know if those people do business, but they definitely get a lot of views. So for me, it's what I like doing, because I do a lot of things in the office, especially because of our coaching business and everything else. I'm on a lot of Zooms,
Right.
and to make content for that is mostly office-driven video content. So I like to get out as well. So, Alex and I have usually Wednesday is our day. That's our vlog day. We'll go out in the new communities. Nobody is ever touring homes, so the builders is there bored anyways, so we can talk to them, get some info. The homes aren't busy, so we can usually film with no problem, no distractions.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a very, very easy way to get content, and then the communities are popping up every day, it seems like, in Dallas. So I head out there. But if you're in New Jersey and there's no new construction communities, then you want to consider something else, right? Or if you're snowed in 10 months of the year, maybe office videos are better for you, or you utilize the 2 summer months to make some content outside. But yeah.
Yeah, your location plays a huge part
Yeah.
in how you create. I mean, you're here in Vegas now. Ryan Pineda films out of Vegas. I film out of Vegas. One thing I've learned about Vegas is that everybody comes.
Yep.
So it's literally a matter of time of when we get an individual on. So we just have that convenience.
Yep.
It is a vacation go-to spot for people all around the country, and so we get visitors here. There's a lot of events here, so we get that. We get all that access, and it's a growing city similar to Dallas. Like you can't go anywhere. Our state flag is the cone, so you can't go anywhere without construction going. So I totally understand.
Is that true?
Absolutely, absolutely. There's not a corner in Vegas right now that's not going to have an orange cone on it. I can guarantee you. If you find one, let me know because I'm looking to move in that area.
All right.
But it's it's everywhere that homes are going up, and so. I totally understand what you mean. Like, I can imagine how much you have, like, access to be able to get it. To me, you're like, builders aren't, they're not doing anything. Like, it's kind of free. I'm surprised that they're not reaching out to people like yourselves the moment something goes up to come film there. I'm assuming that they just know it's going to get sold.
It depends. Actually, I had a builder reach out to me last week, emailed me personally and said,
Okay.
hey, I'm in a new community. Would love for you to come out and film the homes. We got 3 models available.
Mm-hmm.
And also, we got a guy in Houston, and he talks about some of the builders reach out to him. And this hasn't happened to us, but he told me that some of the builders are coming to him with their stale listings. So when they're trying to close out their last 3 homes of a phase or the community or something like that, they're going, hey, you know what? You want to come over here, do content, and we'll give you the listing as well.
Okay.
And so, yeah, that I've seen that happen for some people. I think depends on the area. For me, it's interesting. I don't know. Dallas is a little bit of a different. I feel like everyone's got a little bit of an ego in Dallas, but
Okay.
maybe that's just me. And because and I don't know. I ran into a builder the other day, and he was happy to see me. I didn't know him, but he was like, oh, and he's like, by the way, I got a $1.3 million model opening up, in about 4 weeks. I'd love for, and so it was interesting, but he wasn't proactive. It's just because we happened to run into each other out in a different community. And it's funny. Yeah, I'll walk in. I talk to the builders sometimes. And then the other day I was walking out. I was like, "Hey, thank you," because they said I could film. And I was walking out, and he goes, "Oh, by the way, I like your channel." So the whole time, the whole time I'm sitting there talking to him, and he was just like, "Yeah, we're having a conversation." And then I was literally halfway out the door, and he's like, "Oh, by the way, I like your videos." Yeah. So
Here, I'm gonna tell you what I think is happening in that moment.
all right.
Because I use you whenever I'm speaking, especially if it's like on a stage in front of an audience of real estate professionals. I always use you as an example of an individual that can be famous in their market.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I'm willing to bet that it's like I want to say something to him, but when they see somebody that has a following, that has notoriety, that is in the, like, I don't call it entertainment business, but is in the content creation space, you're talking about millions and millions of views upon, your channels. They know who you are, right? Like, there's probably not many in Vegas in your industry that don't know who you are as you walk around, but it is that moment because I see it all the time with Ryan. We'll be at the airport, and I can see the dude looking at him, and it's like I know he wants to go say something.
Just doesn't do it.
I know he wants a picture, and so sometimes I'll go. You want to he's cool, bro. You can go say what up to him. Like he'll stop and talk to you, and then there's other people that just come up, and then you got that other person that's waiting for the next person to go up, and then he comes, right? Like. So those things are happening. I'm sure they're happening to you, but you are a perfect example of how when you can hone your niche and really lock in on, and I don't like using niche down because it's such a typical thing to say, but like when you can do that in your area, you can, like you said, $300 million later, right? Like you're controlling your market and creating that brand. So I think those days of a creator becoming, ultra famous and nationwide, worldwide fame on business, I think those days are kind of over because of the algorithm changes. But I do think that one can become so famous in their market that they have the ability to not walk the streets anymore without someone recognizing who they are. So I'm willing to bet that's happening sometime where it's like, it may feel like it's an ego thing, but it's also like, what do I say if I go up to this guy, right? Like, cause especially men, bro. Men are like that anyway. Like it's hard to,
I get actually approached by men all the time. Well, it's I think almost 80% of my viewers are men.
It's men, yeah.
And I'm like, darn it, I thought I was better looking than that.
Yeah, right. You gotta
But no, but the guys, I get approached in the community all the time.
Yeah.
And, I work with the youth group at church on Wednesday nights, and I have the 7th grade boys. And so the first night I walked in there, like 5 of them go, hey, you're the YouTube guy, right? And I was instantly cool with them, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and one of them goes, yeah, my dad bought a house from you, you know?
Yeah.
And but that helped me build rapport with them instantly. And they talk about that. And then, of course, I brought them some swag and stuff, and they were all excited. But yeah, I'll be in coffee shops. People will come up. And the funny thing is most of the time, they didn't buy a house from me.
Okay.
So they're like,
they just see the content.
they're like, man, I love your channel. You're the reason I moved to Dallas. And I'm sorry I didn't call you, but my brother's sister's aunt, was a real estate agent, and I had to use them.
Yeah.
And but that's the funny thing too is I always tell people, like, YouTube's a rejection-free business. Sales. How many times have you heard in sales you've got to get through all the no's to get to the yes, or know how many no's you need for your next yes, right?
100%.
You've got to get 45 no's before your first yes, and that's discouraging. That's why sales has such a high turnover. People hate it because they hate all the rejection. Well, I don't know who doesn't call me until I run into them in the community, and then they tell me that they didn't use me, and then I'm like, oh man, geez. But I moved into a new neighborhood 2 years ago.
Okay.
5 of my neighbors, my next door neighbor, the neighbor across the street, 2 about 3 doors down, and 1 on the next block over, all recognized me and all thanked me for my videos, and then apologized for not
using
that's
so crazy.
And I was like, well, I know where you live now, so if you decide to sell, you better use it. But so the amount of business we're doing, I could be losing. I say losing, but I could be missing out on 2 to 3 times that, just because for whatever reason, and people know somebody, their wife tells them they have to use her sister, whatever the case may be, So it's not a big deal. I'm like, hey, I'm just focused on who calls us, how do we serve them, and get those deals done.
Yeah, I mean, for every person that tells you that, there's 10 of them that actually used you or actually took action. And again, you're just giving yourself more at-bats, right? Like, you're giving yourself a higher percentage and a chance versus the person that's not doing it, right? And I think that's why I try to always encourage people, because there's been changes, and I'm going to get into that with the algorithm, right? Like, I've seen it on YouTube, I've seen it on the short form platforms.
Real quick.
Go for it.
Let me jump in. Also, this has gotten us on ABC Morning News with over 1 million viewers, and HGTV. Both of them reached out to us because HGTV wanted to do an episode in Dallas, and guess where they went? They went to YouTube to research, and of course, what did they want? They want They want agents that are good on camera.
Yeah.
So where did they go? They started researching on YouTube. They found our channel, and they're like, well, these guys are good on video. Called us, we got on HGTV. The local news, the newscaster, her boss told her, hey, I want to do a segment on North Dallas real estate. So she's like, okay, went onto YouTube to start researching, and she was like, oh, well, these guys are good on camera, so I might as well feature them, and if I interview them, and that got us on, a couple of segments on the morning news.
Yeah.
So that's the other reason. And look, I'm not the greatest real estate agent in Dallas. I don't have the biggest brand or been there for 20 years.
Yeah.
And because of the YouTube channel, it put me in this position where people just view you on a different level.
Yeah, you're in the conversation.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and that's what's important. And that's what branding does, especially on the scale that we're discussing now, right? Like, I see it with Ryan all the time, and that's really been the difference. I go, Ryan, every conversation you're having is just people confirming what we're already trying to do. Every idea that he discusses or brings to the table, every time we talk to somebody that's already doing it or doing it at a higher level, they just confirm exactly what he's already said. It's always the only difference between them and you is that they've been doing it longer.
Yeah.
That's the only difference. And what you've done in the 10 years that you've been in real estate.
4.
Yeah. Well, I'm talking about Ryan specifically.
Oh, Ryan. Okay, I was about to say.
But his 10 years going from agent to investor, what he's been able to do and accomplish in that amount of time was so much faster than what we see some of the big guys and the bigger brands do. So, and you're going to experience the same thing. Like you said, there's probably somebody in Dallas that's been doing it 25, 30 years.
Well, we did 482 transactions in 4 years, the first 4 years. You know,
And they
I mean, that is unheard of.
Yeah, I wonder if you ever get an opportunity to ask one of these guys that's been around for a long time how long it took them to get that amount of transactions. That's how you can kind of see like what building your personal brand and building this brand of living in Dallas has done, for you and for your team. So it's awesome, man. Like it's one of those things where, again, even if you're starting today, you're putting yourself ahead of the next person that was waiting years and years to realize that it's time to get started. And there's limiting beliefs right now because I was discussing the algorithm, right? Like we've seen a change where the algorithm has shifted to the TikTokification of what it means to grow. So now, rather than them, just people following all the time and people engaging every single time, you just get sent what you like. And that's from, TikTok did that. They made sure of that. The difference was that people were growing crazy on that platform. So I'm hoping to see some of that. But now I don't have to follow you to see your content.
Right.
Right? Like right now, I'll challenge anybody right now to put in real estate in Dallas. Some videos are going to pop up. Some of them might be Levi, some of them might not. Just like 2 or 3 of those videos and watch what happens to your Explore page and your timeline for the rest of this week and from months to come, right? Until you start liking something else. And so I know for me, anytime I start seeing stuff I don't want, I just go to the stuff I like and start liking things, right? Like, but it's not a follow button after that. There's not, unless I'm really wanting to communicate with you, you don't get the follow, you don't get the, and so we're seeing that. And so now people feel limited or they're actually slower to start creating if they're a newbie in it because they feel like they can't grow. And they're equating that to being oversaturated in whatever niche they are or being too late to get started. What's your advice to the new agent, may have done a few deals or may not have done any just yet? They want to get started on either on their YouTube or on their socials, their short form socials. What's your advice to them today to get started?
If they're concerned about saturation, then, if you're not on YouTube, how can it be saturated?
Yeah.
So, ultimately people connect with personality. So even in the YouTube analytics, it tells me the top 15 channels that my audience watches. And 12 out of those 15 are Dallas real estate agents. So apparently my audience is watching 12 other agents in Dallas somehow, some way, but we still get the calls we get. So would that be worth it? And the thing is that no one agent is going to capture all of the transactions in a market. So I don't care if there's 30, 40, 50 agents on YouTube in Dallas. Are the 50 agents on YouTube going to capture all the transactions in Dallas?
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. And then what's the alternative? You're going to go call expireds with 1,000 other agents calling expireds? You're going to cold call? You got a door knock? with other, hold an open house? Every agent is doing that stuff. Right? Do you say, calling expireds is saturated? No, you start calling expireds, and guess what? They've already been called by, and you're pursuing, right? So people on YouTube are choosing our videos. Now, if they choose to watch another one of your videos, they're starting to build a relationship with you, and ultimately, and again, going back, this is the analogy I really love is every year does HGTV say, I think we're good on real estate shows. We're not going to come out with a new real estate show. Or do they come out with a new real estate show?
Every time.
And when's the last time you've seen a garden show on HGTV?
Right.
And from what I've heard, they're about to change the name to Homes TV.
I did see that.
Okay, because they're not even putting garden shows on there, right? It's going to be all real estate. But what do they know? Guess what? If you look at those shows, different personalities, different couples. You've got, you've got the couple that gets along, the couple that doesn't get along. You've got the business partners, you've got the solo person, you've got the, the wife that does design, the husband that does construction.
Yeah, they're all unique.
They're all their own, but it's the same. They're all flipping houses. They're all before and after. They're all going through the same. They all have the same problems. Oh my God! Well, we did not discuss. There's a water leak, and we weren't expecting that. Oh my goodness! And they create, and it's the same thing. It's just different personalities. And I would say, look, if you had to buy one house and you had to choose your celebrity real estate agent, you'd have to choose one because you can only buy one house from one person. And so some people would be like, well, I like Ryan Serhant better. Some might be like, well, I like Josh Altman better, or I like Chip and Joanna, or Tariq El Musa, somebody has their favorite.
Yeah.
Even though they may watch all the shows or binge watch HGTV all day. And so, yeah, they've got to choose somebody, and ultimately it's going to be who they relate to the most on personality. And so as long as you're you, then you're going to attract your people. And that's the other cool thing about YouTube, especially with real estate, is by attracting your people, it makes the transaction a lot more fun. You get along with those. You have almost like instant. First of all, they come to you with the relationship already established on their side. So all you have to do is not screw that up, right? Don't be a jerk. Don't be fake on camera. Don't be somebody else on camera and you're really somebody else in person.
Yeah.
This is your opportunity. We're unique, especially because we're monetizing off platform. We're not necessarily concerned about ad revenue or things like that. It pays a few bills, which is nice, but we get to meet our viewers, right? And so it's very important you are yourself because you want to be that person in person when they come to hang out.
You just mentioned this about being off platform.
Yeah.
And this is for those creators that are already established and starting to monetize and create communities for themselves. How important is it to move your audience from on the platform to off the platform?
We don't focus on it. So there's a couple of different strategies around that. We don't have any lead magnets. We don't encourage people to download a guide or anything like that. I know channels that do that, and I think if you're trying to build your list, then that's one way to do it. But we're trying to work with people that want to do business now, and we found that the people that reach out to us are within a very short window of doing a deal.
Okay.
Like when they call us, they're pretty much within a 30 to 60 day window that they want to close on a house. Very rarely are they like, I'm 8 months down the road or I'm a year down the road. Now people that download a guide, they might be a year down the road. And then, yes, I got their information, but just because you got their information, like what are you going to do? Email them and email them into wanting to work with you? I mean, so, and I consider that, we call our program passive prospecting for a reason, because we create the content, people find the content, watch the content, and then they choose when to reach out to us. When they do that, you hold all the power. As far as, that is most likely the best opportunity to convert that person. If they download something and I've captured their information, I got them off platform, right? I'm building my list. Okay, great. But then guess what? I have to go in pursuit mode. I have to go into active prospecting. I've got to call them, hey, you downloaded my guide.
Right.
Are you thinking about moving? And then they're like, no, I just wanted the guide. Or, well, actually, I'm looking at moving next year. Or, they don't, they're like, why am I getting a phone call? Or, so then you're on pursuit mode, you're active prospecting, and I just, I don't know, we actually even tested that, and the reason I know this, because we tested it, and that was we converted people that downloaded the guide at 1% or less. If they call us, text us, email us, or they fill out our form to book a call, those convert between 8 to 15 to even 20%.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. That makes sense, especially in the industry you're in. That makes total sense. Let's do this. Walk me through your current funnel.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
Video and then call to action. In the video, I have active call to action and passive call to action.
Explain that.
So active call to action is me actually saying, hey, my name is Levi. My partner Travis, the team, we get calls, texts, emails every day from people just like you. If you're thinking about making a move to Dallas, you can find all of our information in the description below. Happy to help you make a smooth move to Dallas.
When is that? At what point in the video will I find out when I see that?
Yeah, sometimes I would do that right after a hook. So I might do a hook and then come back and do that intro. Sometimes now I forget to do it at all. And then sometimes I'll do it throughout the video, or I might say, this is an opportunity to take advantage of this. That's why you need to reach out. Our information is in the description below. So I might say it once or twice throughout the video. So I've done it a little bit differently, but that's why I have the passive calls to action, which is a little text that actually comes up from the bottom of the screen.
Like the lower third.
Yeah, and it comes up 3 times in the video, usually within the first 30 seconds to a minute. halfway through the video and then towards the end, and it pops up for about 10 seconds and it says, moving to Dallas, Texas, let's chat, contact info in description below.
Gotcha.
You know, and that comes up, stays up for about 10 seconds and then disappears. So I call that the passive call to action, and that's to take my back if for some reason I forget to, direct it. But usually, I'm going to say, hey, that our information is below. That's why you should reach out or something like that.
Yeah, and this may be a question for your team versus you, but do you have a way of tracking which one performs better, whether it be a passive or an active? Essentially, those are just ads within the video called ads.
Yeah, that we can't track that. I don't think there's a way to track that, but I do know that our Zoom link, like where they click the link and fill out a 4-question survey and then book a call on our Zoom calendar, that's the highest converting.
Okay.
So if they actually book a Zoom call with us, we're going to close that 3 out of 10 times.
Gotcha.
That's almost got a 30% conversion ratio. And then phone calls, text, or emails they can convert 20%, 15%, and the lowest we've ever seen really is around 8%, which is still very high for you can consider online marketing, I guess you could say. So 8% conversion is still really good.
Now you have systems and processes set up to be able to handle any incoming from those types of call to actions. What would be a good call to action for someone that's new to it? Simple DM, simple.
Well, I mean, there's no real DM on YouTube,
Yeah.
So I mean, DM is I would say that's definitely ideal for short form Instagram, something like that. So yeah, you can utilize that description. You can also utilize pinned comments. You can utilize the description for the channel. They positioned it now to where almost the first line of your description or your about section, most people say, hi, my name is Levi, I'm a real estate agent, and then it cuts off, ...
Right.
Mine says, moving to Dallas, Texas, let's chat, and there's an arrow pointing down because you can input a link right there that's visible on all platforms, mobile, computer, or desktop, or not TV. You won't see that link, it's not clickable, but if they're on mobile, they can literally just click that link and go to our questionnaire.
Yeah.
And then on the banner, which cuts off on mobile but is visible on computers and TV, we have a QR code, because if they're watching on a computer or a TV, they're not watching on their phone.
Right.
So if you have a banner, it makes it super easy for them to hold up their phone and scan the QR code. We also put our phone number on that side as well, because they could dial the phone. Now, the reason we have people able to reach out to us by phone, text, email, or Zoom is because there's 4 main communication styles. There's audio, there's visual, and there's readers and writers, and there's kinesthetic. And so, the way somebody reaches out to us is probably how they prefer to communicate. And that also makes the process to work with somebody very easy, because if they schedule a Zoom call with us, they're probably a kinesthetic learner, a kinesthetic, communication style, which means they like the in-person. They want to see you on Zoom. They want to interact. They would be the person that gives you a hug when you meet them for the first time.
For sure.
Those types of people. If you get a text or an email, that's a reader or a writer. And so if you try to call them, you ever had a client where you try to call them and then they text you back? They never answer your phone call. And most of us will get frustrated. Most agents will get frustrated with that, and they'll keep trying to call and keep trying to call. And they're like, why does this person only text or email? If you text them, they'll reply right away. And then I try to call them, they don't answer. Well, they could be a reader. They don't want to talk on the phone.
Right.
But if you understand that and you go, oh, okay, well, they actually reached out to me through text, so that's probably going to be the best way to communicate with them through this process.
For sure.
Now, if they call you, they're probably auditory, right? They want to hear your voice, and they get better. I met a guy one time that said, he never took a note in college. He would just sit there and listen, and he passed college, but if he was told to take notes, he'd be like, no. He just needed to listen, and that's how he processed the information, and then he would do his test, and so. That's the thing. If somebody calls you and then you're texting a client and then they call you back and you're like, oh, why are they calling me? I just wanted to send them a text. Well, probably because they don't want to communicate through text. So that's why we have 4 different formats, because, again, path of least resistance. I want people to go down the path that is least resistance to them.
To them, yeah.
And how they feel comfortable about reaching out or communicating with us. And that's a good indicator. Now, granted, whether they reach out to us, we do try to get everybody on a Zoom call just to establish that face-to-face connection and kind of solidify that relationship. But from there, we may communicate through their main communication styles. So
Okay. No matter which way I choose, if I actually get active and I respond to your call to action, how fast do you usually reach, or will I expect to hear something from you or your team?
at least within 1 to 2 hours.
Quick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's always a
I mean,
key.
during business hours.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
I
of
mean, we
course.
don't have, we used to have a 24-hour call service. So but nobody's really calling at midnight. And I think if they text after hours, they understand that they'll get a response
Later.
the next day or
Yeah.
something. I mean, if somebody texts or emails, I always feel like those are not really urgent anyways. But most of the time, their text or email, they'll be like, hey, when you have a moment, feel
Reach
free
out.
to, yeah. So, but if they call, our goal is to always answer the call. And if that won't be the case, to see that there's a missed call and then to call that person back within the hour. And so it does depend on if somebody's out. If somebody's showing homes, we don't want that person to be answering their phone and things like that. So you have to find some happy medium, because yes, do you want to respond to new leads fast? Yes, but you also don't want to take away if your agents are with a client. Now, there's also, depending on how many agents you have, you could do round robin systems or things like that. But yeah, for us, look, they are coming to us with a relationship. So as long as we're responsive within an hour or two, which is reasonable, then we get people. We don't lose them.
Absolutely. So as far as funnel, you have the video, you have the call to action with links, text message, like whatever, to be able to reach you. What's after that? Is there anything left?
That's pretty much it. Yeah,
Okay.
we got rid of the downloadable guide, and so because otherwise a funnel works best when you have less roads to go down. Right? You don't want to, and we don't link any socials on YouTube.
Okay.
Which again, I'm like, when I see that when agents are linking their socials everywhere, I'm going, what's your goal? More
Right.
Instagram followers? And they're
Right.
like, no. I'm like, is it more TikTok? No, then why are you sending
What's the
people?
point?
Yeah. Once they go over, I said they're one cat video away from
Yeah.
from a black hole.
That's it.
So
Yeah. Or they're gonna go over to that other platform and they're
Yeah.
gonna find somebody else that they like.
Yeah.
Is what happens all
so
the
I'm
time.
like, don't distract them to short form platforms.
Yeah.
And I said, so direct them where you want them to go. And so we don't have a lot on there except we only want them to leave YouTube if they want to reach out to us. Otherwise, we want them watching as many videos as possible.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And going back to your point about your description links, I don't know if you follow us or you follow Ryan Pineda, you'll see that's our first thing in every video.
Yeah.
I base whatever that call to action will be at the beginning of that on who he's talking to. But we got 3 call to actions, and it's going to be one of those at the very first, before you ever even get to see a description of the video. Because the goal is hopefully that by the time you get to reading that description, you're already bought in, you've already trusted, you know who Ryan is, but this is the goal, take some action, do something right away. So that's also a possibility, and it's important.
Do you have those links trackable? Are they
Yeah.
like Bitly links
Yeah.
or okay?
Yep. So marketing can track and see where they come from. And that's why I asked you about the call to actions, because I'm curious too. We do both too. We do an actual cutaway from the video that is a pre-recorded ad, which is it's not my favorite thing to do. But Ryan likes that, so we do that 2 or 3 times throughout the video. And then videos that are not a podcast, that are a little bit different, more dynamic, then we do that lower third pop-up screen.
Well, I did that for a little while. I had about a 20-second ad, which was my call, which was, hey, by the way, my name's Levi, and if you're thinking about making a move to Dallas, check the description below. Happy to, And what was funny is I just noticed I would get little dips.
Those are the dips,
and I just thought that was so strange because any other creator I watch, especially ones that get millions of views on, they do their own ads, right? And I can't see their retention graphs, but I'm like, well, clearly they do it, especially for other brands. And I'm just doing a simple call to action. But it's funny because I always saw the dip right there. I was just like, that's so strange, and
we see it often. We see it on some videos. Let me say
Yeah.
that. It's not on every video. And truly, placement matters, like where you're actually putting them. And so we've tested everything, like beginning of the video. Funny enough, we we got less skips at the beginning or less dips at the beginning of the video versus putting it towards the center or the end, which most people don't even make it to. So it's like it was very interesting. It was telling in a way because the only thing we haven't tried, which I wish we would, it just takes a little bit more effort than probably Ryan has time for, is to do the actual ad read during the episode. So he organically goes rather than having a pre-recorded cutaway, he organically goes. The other thing that I want to try is filming that ad read in like the day of the filming. So even though it may be like pre-recorded and it cuts away, it's what he has on. The setting looks the same. Everything looks the same anyway. Just to see if that's going to matter. So those are some things that we're going to test out. And if something that you all do, anybody that's watching or listening, do the same thing. Like just test different things to see what works. But if you got what's working, don't go away from it either. So like, if you know what works for you, it works. But you're right, man. Like I see people do it. I see people do lower third ads, and I'm curious because we see different things all the time. So it's really interesting, man. But yeah, that's a cool thing. Like I think the point of the path of least resistance is very important in any kind of business, right? Like I was just helping somebody with their landing page, right? Their goal is to grow their list, and I didn't have to fill anything out until I scrolled down 3 times. Yeah. And I was like, well, if I may not ever get to that, right? Especially if you have what I want right away when it comes up. I was like, I get it, but there's no way for you to grow that list. And they're a merchant that's selling like a physical product. Yeah. So I was like, dude, I'm going to buy this product and you'll get my purchase, but you'll never get to contact me again. I'm going to check out as a guest and get on out of here, right? And so he had to tweak some things and, to be able to grow his list. Let me ask you though, what's more valuable to you? Your email list or a subscriber or a follower?
Well, email list, yeah, for sure.
Why?
Well, I mean, we can hit that anytime. I mean, subscribers, you can't really. It's funny. Actually, I noticed on my phone today, there was on my channel. I went to my channel and it said "See your subscribers," and I could click on that. And I don't know if other people, I doubt it. I'm sure maybe just me. Yeah. And I clicked on that and pulled up a list, and it said, and you could sort by recent or by people with the most subscribers. Yep. But what can I do with that? I can't do anything, And a lot of those accounts are just either dummy accounts or people's browsing accounts, whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. I have no way to contact them. And the thing is that my view count doesn't even match my subscriber count. And if you look at my analytics, I think 85% of my channel is watched by non-subscribers. Mm-hmm. And, and I've got 45,000 subscribers now on a real estate channel. And, if I hit 10,000 views on a video, I'm like, sweet, cool, mission accomplished. I mean, we've got videos with 50, 80, 100, 300,000 views, which love those videos. But, my goal is always to hit 1,000 views the first day, and then once it goes past the 5K mark, I'm not really paying too much attention. Now, if something starts to take off, then I'm clearly watching that, or I'm going back and going, okay. But for me, it's just been consistency. But yeah, now, like you mentioned, the algorithm is serving you based on content you watch, and actually content that they believe you will watch. Right. So. And you're right. I always, when I'm at conferences and people are like, hey, what's your channel? I always say, well, type in Living in Dallas and let's see what pops up. Mm-hmm. And every single time our channel would pop up as the channel for that search term. Now, the last couple of times I've been seeing like videos, and then I'm like, hold on. And I'll scroll on their phone and scroll down, and our channel's kind of buried down there. And I'm like, and see, when I named the channel, I was really based off of a lot of search in the beginning, which is why I named it Living in Dallas, Texas, because that was a high search term 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. And maybe that was because of, things were shut down, people were mass moving to Dallas for sure. I mean, they're still moving to Dallas, but now, I still like to base things a little bit on search, but we're definitely targeting browse and suggested a lot more. And all of our views, I think, almost 70-80% of our views this last year came from browse. Wow. And the first 3 years, it was all search. I mean, it was like 60-70% search. And even though we still kind of optimize for search, we're titling things more kind of browse related, and so maybe that's what's triggering that. But yeah, even and I told like the team, I was like, hey, I want to make a couple of videos where we just optimize them completely for search and just kind of see, if they'll rank. But and I'm curious to see how that, because I know that's still a component of YouTube, but yeah, I mean the email list, for example. I don't know, we've got 4 or 5, maybe 6,000 people on our email list on the real estate side. I mean, on the real estate agent side, I think our list is like 70,000. And we hit that all the time to monetize it. Okay. And actually last month I had somebody on our event that said, Levi, I've been getting your emails for 3 years now, and finally I'm here, And I was like, oh, okay, all right. So it actually
finally worked.
Yeah, it finally worked. But last month, and we've done this a couple of times, we've emailed our real estate database and said, hey, I'm hosting a Zoom call if you want to find out more information about buying your first or next home. That simple email. We got 50 people on a Zoom. So in this market with 7% interest rates and the lowest transaction count and everything like that, last month we just sent out an email, literally that simple. Hey, it's Levi. I'm hosting a Zoom call. If you want to learn more about buying your first or next home, we'll do a live Q&A.
Yeah.
And 50 people were on there.
Yeah.
And we got 5 people that were like ready to do something in the next 30 days. And they were on there like, hey, yeah, and we were like, hey, DM me your phone number. But they all had to register to get on the Zoom, so we had it anyways. Yeah. But we were like, hey, but we got 5 super hot leads, and then we got about 15 people from there that were, and I asked Travis, I was like, are those people that have called in or he's like, some of them weren't. They just got in our database somehow. And then he's like, yeah, he goes, some of those people are, I spoke to like a year ago, but that got them to resurface. So you can do things like that with an email list, right? You can poke it, just poke it and
wake it up a little bit.
Yeah, rattle the cage a little bit and see what falls out. And with our real estate agent list, that is probably 70,000 now. Like I said, I got somebody that literally told me to my face on Zoom, hey, you've been hitting me on, I've been seeing your emails for 3 years and now I'm finally jumping on, And then when I go to conferences, people tell me, oh, hey man, I'm getting, it was funny, I was at an event a couple of months ago, and Tom Ferry, who's a very well-known real estate coach, he was there, and I saw him, and I went up to shake his hand. I go to shake his hand, and he goes to give me a hug. He gives me a hug, and the first thing he said, he's like, "Levi, I still get all your text messages."
That's so funny.
And it's funny that because we text message market, calls to action, email constantly, and I'm on my own list, and sometimes I'm like, I'm like, geez, again, I'm like, and I ignore them half the time, anyways. But then I go to these conferences and people are like, hey, I get your text. And the funny thing is a lot of people still feel like, I don't know, like I'm texting them personally. Like,
oh, dude.
Oh, man, you text, or we'll be sitting there. I might be, out there in the crowd, and somebody will be like, hey, you just text me. And I'm like, hey, I'm hosting a new event coming up.
You're on stage at the same time. Yeah, that's the power of just the platforms in general, though, is, one, you make money in your sleep. Yeah. But 2, there's a forever presence, right? Like you can create so that while you're not doing it, you're still very relevant. Like we had a YouTube video go out today, and about 6 shorts go out today. Ryan he probably has no idea what came out, right? Like it just is what it is. And so what it gives him that power. So he can be everywhere while doing something important for the business. So even while I always say, like, he should be handling the big money problems. Yep. And allow us to make sure that, the content, which should be smaller and a little less energy for him, gets completed. So yeah, it's speak to that. Like I said, a lot of power in that, and people should be aware of that, even on a smaller level, right? Like, obviously you guys are doing big business and you created, your space, but even those individuals that are smaller creators should be thinking the same thing. Like, I got to do this for one, to get the reps in, but two, to make sure that my presence is nonstop.
Yeah.
And so quantity is always a thing. It becomes a point too. I think that, and me and Ryan talk about this all the time, where it used to be content were leads, and while there still are pieces of content that are leads, now we've realized that it's more of our converter. What happens now from a consumer standpoint is people are interested in something, like living in Dallas, they research it, and then they find you. And then they watch video after video. And if they decide to fill out anything and they receive that call, the trust is already there.
Yep.
Right? They are aware that you are the expert in that specific field. And so it would be a different feeling if you had one video every couple months. But because you've shown all these different areas, and time again you've discussed it, you're on the news, you're on HGTV, you're on all these different places, your presence is so big in that area. And that's, to me, that's what outweighs, and makes it all worth it. Because it's like, yeah, Ryan could be spending the 6 hours that he spends a week filming, figuring out more parts of the business to help grow the business. But it's also like, what happens when that consumer comes to find you? What can they learn from you? What can they get from you? And so it becomes that converter. We're 500,000 watch hours a month on a podcast. It's a lot of time spent for us and people with us. And so it's not so much, you get you can have a subpar sales team because you've already done, they're coming in hot already, right? They've already done it. Right. And so I think there's a lot of power in that because you're showing and doing so much on the platform, and it's like, who else am I going to go to here, right? Like, there may be a couple of you that are doing it at this level. You ever think about adding to the quantity in which your current output is currently? Like, what would you do to do more and put out more content?
Yeah, I think about it all the time. Well, the main thing for me is to stay consistent.
Yeah.
Minimum one video a week, and on the real estate side, the thing is I've got the passive prospecting YouTube channel as well. Plus, we just started a sellers channel.
Okay.
So living in Dallas is mainly a buyer driven channel, and which is nothing wrong with that, but I just noticed a pattern there. And so I wanted to see if we could do a seller-generated channel, which I started that, and it started to generate that, exactly what we were looking for, and target the local audience. Okay. You see, your local audience is not necessarily needs to research neighborhoods, right, especially if they want to buy a home. They're like, I'm going to go drive to the neighborhood, you know. So it does target a lot of relocation, out of state, which are great clients to work with. I think they're the best. They're decision makers. They've got cash. They've usually gone through several home purchases.
They're ready, yeah.
Yeah, and usually they have to move, or they're extremely motivated to move because of family or work or something else. Yeah. So they're a great client to work with. But and I also noticed that if a local commented on that channel, they're always like, hey, stop, don't California my Texas. Stop bringing, Texas is full, right? So I'm like, I don't know if I'll ever convert local people from this channel. I mean, probably will, but, it's not attracting the vast majority. So I started a channel that would be directed and more ideal for locals in Dallas. And sure enough, it immediately targeted the locals. And then one of the videos blew up. And when I say blew up, it went to 34,000 views, which is great for a brand new channel.
For sure.
it had 200 comments on there. Every single comment was a local person, and they started out with, "I live in Dallas. I live in Dallas. I live in Dallas, and I live here. I live, and they were very opinionated,
passionate about it.
And so and then it generated us a few leads. We got a listing from it, that's the goal, to get a listing, a seller. And right now, and we had this huge spike from that video and several videos to follow that. Now it kind of dipped back down a little bit. So I'm working on, we got to get it back to where it was. But we were getting a lead a day from that. Now it's like a lead every other day, and sometimes a lead every 3 or 4 days. So that momentum from some of those videos is kind of, and I'm trying to help recreate that. But still, the channel's not even a year old yet. Yeah. So that was, I think, more than what I was expecting from that new channel. So yeah, I'm already creating videos for that, plus short form content, plus I have traveling for speaking. I'm here with you guys for a couple of days. This is like my 4th podcast now in 2 days and speaking, which is great. I love all that. And then we run our own 3-day events, and I started to do those every other week. So it's just time constraints, and if I want... Saturday is family day, so I'm not working on Saturday. I do a little hybrid on Sunday after church a little bit. I sneak in some things here and there, but I got to get my filming in during the week. And if I do a 3-day event, then I have to jam pack everything. But I've also eliminated all my meetings to only Monday. So I have Monday meeting day, and I'm pretty much back to back on Zooms all day on Monday for 10 hours. I meet with all the different executives on the team, the departments, and just to kind of guide them for the week or find out, hey, what did we do? What do we need to do? What do we adjust for this week? And then I do whatever I can to not be on a meeting Tuesday through Friday. So Tuesday can be more like a planning day. I can start planning out content. Wednesday is always with Alex. Unless I got a 3-day event, then we have to push that to Thursday. And then, so we go out and film in the neighborhood. Thursday is maybe podcast day, so I'm doing 2 podcasts. I'm doing one for, that Chrissy and I do, and then I might do interviews as well with students that are doing well. And then Fridays, I'm trying to leave open for either cleanup or also so I can think a little bit, or I can... I need to make some phone calls, because even during the week, I don't even have time. I'll turn around and it'll be dinner time, you know? My days go really, really fast. And I get up at 4 in the morning, and that's not...
It's a long day. It still goes fast.
Yeah.
No, for
sure. We eat dinner at 6, and I try to cut it off, because, from 6 to 7 is dinner. And then from 7, putting the kiddo down. And then, if I want to get 7 hours of sleep, I got to go to bed at 9 o'clock. And that doesn't even happen all the time. And and I don't even feel like I don't even have a moment to scroll on Instagram. Like sometimes I'm like, I just
not a consumer at all.
Yeah, I just want to scroll, Sometimes I just want to scroll, and then I open up Instagram. I've got 15 DMs. Alex has sent me 10 reels, of cat videos that I have to watch. No, actually, Cammie has sent me 30 videos that she's like, hey, did you see what I sent you?
Dude,
and I'm like,
better get to those.
It's like 30 videos. I'm like, oh, now I got to watch the 30 reels. And
I just told my wife I was going to start putting that on the schedule. Like right before I get ready to leave the office, watch whatever she sent me all day.
I literally, this is funny. So I'm just like, okay. And then she's like, let's watch those, I'm like, all right, so I got to watch those. And then I'm like, it's bedtime, I'm like, oh my God. And and I like that, I don't know. I was telling Alex the other day, I don't even want to go to bed. And so most of the time I don't go to bed till 10, and I'm still up at 4. And I don't even want to go to bed at 10 sometimes.
If you didn't have to, you wouldn't, right?
Yeah, if I didn't have to sleep. But
sure.
It's because I like what I like what I do, but also... Man, I'm just always working on something. So, I'm
going to get with Alex, and we're going to look at the schedule. And I'm going to see, because this is my favorite thing to do. I like to see where you can create without changing anything currently.
Okay.
So your schedule stays exactly how it is now. But how do we create and achieve capturing content without anything changing for you?
We'd have to move to Thursdays, and we might have to just do that to move.
And so it just means for me, right? For instance, with Ryan as an example, right? Same way. He's up early, but he's busy all day long. And one thing we've gotten kind of good at is taking whatever he does and figuring out how to create from it, right? So none of my team golfs. Absolutely none of them.
Yep.
If you watch me swing, I'm going to be looking this way, that ball going to go way over there. But we knew we had to figure out how to get good at filming it. We knew how we had to be efficient when filming it, how to create other moments, right? So there's times where I'm in the cart with him and I'm just asking questions. I'm not even there to like film a golf video. I'm just there to get questions, a bunch of content out of it, right? Either I can create a podcast out of it where it's just a long form video.
So
of him
Alex should ask
answering.
me questions?
Absolutely. You're here right now, right? Any downtime in here, I'm going, Ryan, tell me what you think about the market. Ryan, tell me this, tell me this, tell me this. And those can be clipped or those can be added together to make one long form video, right? So there's ways of kind of doing it with your everyday schedule anyway, right? So if this is a think day for you, maybe I'm just going to press record and throw some stuff out there.
Do you have that list of 50 questions? Do you get that from Carlos, the list of 50 questions? You should just pull that up on your phone and do that randomly.
Yeah. I got endless amounts of Google Docs. And obviously use AI, which I want to get into now. But really quick, we'll touch on it. But AI can give you lists of questions because it already knows who you are.
Well, our copywriter, I asked him that the other day.
Yep.
I was like, hey, can you give me like 50 questions?
Yep.
And he sent that over. So we got that. Yeah, if you ask Carlos for that.
Yeah, and like in the Uber going to the airport.
Yeah.
I'm like this against the window.
So we got a different background, yeah.
Yep. So and you see those videos from Ryan, right? We do this all the time. When I travel with him, it's nonstop. And so those it makes for really good content, but it's also they're almost like throwaway pieces, right? Yeah. So if he answers it good, great, we got a video. If not, then because sometimes he may say something that he don't want to go out there. Sometimes, right? Like, and it's all those things. On top of that, those conversations that you having around, I might just take a piece from this, and so there's ways of getting more without having to actually change your schedule or add to your schedule. That makes sense. But we'll talk about it some more. AI, really quick.
Yep.
I'm sure you've implemented within the actual real estate business. How have you implemented AI in your content creation?
Well, I've let the team do that a little bit.
Here's an example of a talent not being able to answer because he doesn't do it. But it's okay.
No, I play around with ChatGPT. I played around with Grok, and so I don't really script at all. Mm-hmm. I do most things off the cuff, but I also think that I'm missing opportunity there with some scripting. Mm-hmm. And so actually what I'm going to do is we've got a video that we filmed and uploaded to YouTube. And once it's uploaded on YouTube, even if it's unlisted, then you can take that link, right? Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to pull that link and I'm going to test this. I'm going to put that link inside there and say, analyze this video and give me a hook. And I think I'm going to record the hook for that. I've also taken a script for a video. Like I may have Nick, who does a lot of research for some videos. I'm going to pull that link and I'm going to test this. I'm going to put that link inside there and say, analyze this video and give me a hook. And I think I'm going to record the hook for that. I've also taken a script for a video. Like I may have Nick, who does a lot of research for some videos, and usually stats and data and things like that. But he may build an outline, and I've taken that outline and I've put it into Grok, and I'll be like, hey, give me a compelling hook with a curiosity loop that is answered later on in this video based on this script. Mm-hmm. And then boom, it pops out like 3 or 4 sentences based on that, and I'll use that as my hook, and then I may freestyle the rest of the video. Mm. So for me, that's where you can do it for. You can have it write whole videos for you. Right. Hey, give me 10, the pros and cons of living in Frisco, Texas, and give me 5 pros and 5 cons, and it'll give you all that. Even if you Google that now, Google gives you an AI summary at the top of it. So I think use it to complement, don't use it to overtake. I think because also I think your best work comes when you're involved in it or with it. So maybe use AI to give you some outlines, or maybe it gives you the hook, or some jogs your memory of some things you can include in your video. You can do all kinds of things. You could have it do everything for you. But also, I think that's where inauthenticity, is that a word? Inauthentic, it's not authentic. And I don't know if it comes off that way, but I see some YouTubers that are clearly reading from a teleprompter, right? And they get the views, and I imagine with the views, there's probably some phone calls. Now, I can look at numbers and things like that too, and I still don't see people closing the amount of business that we close. But also, like you said, conversion matters more than the lead flow, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, the lead flow matters, but you have to be able to convert. And even though they like you and they come to you, if you don't take care of them, or also create some sort of sense of urgency, or emphasize the opportunity that if they see something they need to move, then you can miss out. So yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely a role for AI. I think what would be cool is whenever we were talking about this the other day about automatic thumbnail generation. Like, I'm sure at some point. Well, actually, I just saw this in YouTube yesterday. They have an inspiration tab now, and I click on the inspiration, and it gave me 3 video topics, and it basically gave me the script, and then it gave thumbnail ideas as well. I mean, it's almost like doing the work for you. Yeah,
they're trying to hand it to you.
Yeah.
It's just going to be about who can perform it the best at that point.
Yeah. Now all the thumbnails were crappy. They were terrible. I'm like, wait a second, you're penalizing me for my click-through rate, and then YouTube, and then you're going to give me some crappy thumbnails. Yeah, I'm like that. So now, what would be cool though is if you make a video, and then YouTube does have a awesome thumbnail generator, and it automatically changes them until you get a 7 or 8. You say, give me a thumbnail until I reach 10% click-through rate, and then it's just automatically generating thumbnails every hour. Like, see, that sort of stuff, that's what questions, like, when will content creation actually be content creation, or will it just be AI creation, where you're like, we're already playing around with our own avatars.
Absolutely.
And
I can speak several languages.
Yeah.
Several languages.
Yeah, we're testing. I mean, we're looking at some stuff, and it's like, will we even need to make a video, or do we just need to record 5 minutes, and it can
let it take over.
Yeah, it can copy everything, create the scripts, has your avatar. So what, and then will people call? It's like exciting but scary at the same time. So it's just one of those things where don't get left in the dust. Don't be the last to adopt AI. Don't let it overtake what you're doing, though. Don't let it be everything for you. But yeah, I mean, definitely, it's really good. I've seen it creating hooks or things like that. But it's still, you need. I hate when it says, majestic skies. And so you need to proofread as well if you're going to use something.
Yeah, you have to.
The rolling hills of Dallas. I'm like, there's no rolling hills in Dallas. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah.
No, for sure. As a tool.
Yeah.
And it has to be used as a tool. The saw doesn't build the house, all right? And so you have to use it like a tool. It's meant to enhance what you're already capable of doing. We're not there yet to where it can be the full, the full meal. It can give you some ingredients, but it is a part of the ingredients, but it's not the full meal. So it's important to know that. Don't be dependent on it. Because I also think people can't innovate. They don't learn to innovate, and they don't learn to be, they lose creativity by being dependent on AI.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be important for them to continue to do that. So yeah, be mindful of that. Levi, man, appreciate you, dude. It's always fun when we get a chance to chat. I mean, we've traveled together. We've done some fun stuff. And so I'm actually going to start blogging those and let everybody see what we capture when we're out of town on those day trips and things like that. But again, thank you for stopping by. Obviously, you were coming off the stage, so I know you're tired of talking probably by now.
I could go all day.
All right. That's a creator for you right there. It's been another episode. Wealthy Creator, thank you for watching. If you're still here, be sure to subscribe. Be sure to follow. Be sure to reach out and comment below your favorite parts of this episode. And hit that notification button. You know what I mean? That's important. Make sure you know when our next ones are dropping. And let me know what you want to see next and who we should have on. Appreciate you again, dude.
Thank you, brother.
Check you next time. Peace.